You hear me, David?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight, Don?
Okay.
Wait on.
I'll just-
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we get going and do roll call, I want to remind everybody when Jane does roll call, each person, when your name's called, give us your location. Tell us where you're at. This something new we're doing. This has to do with our policy and procedures for our remote meetings. So like I say, give us your location. Let's say City of Hastings or Hastings, Michigan. You don't have to say, well, anyhow, it's self-explanatory. Okay, Jane, you ready to go? Roll call.
Bowers,
Yes. Don Bowers on Jefferson, on the corner of Jefferson.
Which city you in, Don?
Huh?
Which city you in? Give us a city and state.
No, I'm in Hastings. And what
Okay.
else do you want?
That's fine.
Gary,
Do I just say the city that I'm in, or do I have to say the address?
City, just city.
I'm in Hastings, Michigan. This is Jim Carey, and I'm here.
Jarvis,
Here, First Ward at my home, Hastings, Michigan.
Moore,
Therese Maupin-Moore. I'm in Hastings, Michigan in my kitchen.
McNabb Stang,
Here, Hastings, Michigan.
Redmond, Rezegi,
Here, beautiful sunny Hastings, Michigan.
Smith, Tassava,
Here, City Council Chambers, Hastings, Michigan. Entertain a motion to excuse Redmond and Smith.
So moved, Don Bowers.
Second.
Support Maupin-Moore.
Motion by Bauer, supported by Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, can you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I have a flag right behind me. I don't know if you can see it or not, but please rise. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
to the flag
of
of the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thanks, everybody. Everybody get a chance to look at the agenda? Any additions or corrections?
This is McNabb saying I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Carey, I second.
Motion by McNabb, staying supported by Kerry to approve the agenda as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, everybody get a chance to look at the minutes of the October 26, 2020 regular meeting. If so, is there any corrections or anything anybody sees wrong with that? Anyone?
Don Bowers, I move that we approve the October 26th regular meeting minutes.
Support Jarvis.
Motion by Bauer, supported by Jarvis to approve the October 26, 2020 regular meeting. Roll call.
Bowers,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Muppinmore,
Yes.
Abstain.
yes,
Rezegi,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Okay, next item, open public discussion regarding matters not on the agenda. Anybody out there want to address the council tonight? If so, you have 3 minutes. You can talk about anything that's not on this agenda. And if anybody wants to talk, I'll give you 3 minutes. Anybody out there? Okay, moving on, proclamations, we have none. Public hearings, we have none. Former presentations and requests, we have a request from Brian Shumway, post historian, and Stephen Carr, commander of the American Legion, to hold Veterans Day ceremonies November 11th at 11 o'clock at Veterans Plaza, Titan Park. Anybody, I don't know if anybody is out there from the American Legion, but this is the same thing they've done in the past. And they've pretty much told us they will practice social distancing and everybody there will have masks on. So what's your pleasure?
Don Bowers, I move we approve.
This is
Rezegi,
Carrie.
support.
Motion by Bowers to approve, supported by Rezegi. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Muppinmore,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
yes,
Rezegi,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes,
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item, we have a request from Lynn Denton, Chair of the Downtown Business Team, to hold a Jingle All the Way to Shop downtown Friday, December 4th, 2020 at 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and Saturday, December 5th, 2020 from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. Anybody out there from the Downtown Business Team, or Dan, do you want to explain this to us?
Sure, Mayor. As a result of the full-blown Jingle and Mingle being canceled this year due to COVID, the Downtown Business Team has requested that these items be allowed on that Friday and Saturday that typically would be the Jingle and Mingle kickoff.
Anybody have any questions of
This is-
Dan? Anybody?
this
What's
is
your pleasure?
McNabb Stang. I make a motion, we approve under direction of staff.
Motion by McNabb Stain to approve,
Rezegi, support.
supported by Rezegi. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Muppinmore,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes,
Rezegi,
Yes.
Bowers,
yeah,
Carey,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, with us tonight, we have Allison Troyer Wiswell and Carla Wilson Neal. They're gonna give you a presentation on Blue Zones Activate Food Systems. Are you out there, Allison?
I am Al here.
Go
Hello,
ahead.
everyone. I believe Jerry is running slides for me. Is that correct? Or, yes, perfect. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all giving me some space on the agenda tonight to discuss what we've been doing thus far since the last time I was in front of City Council. And I wanted to talk specifically in the vein of food systems with you all tonight. Next slide, please. As you know, the primary goal of Blue Zones is that we're really looking to optimize the man-made surroundings for sustainable well-being improvement. So what we know is that long-term specific diet and exercise things don't tend to work for the majority of the population. What we found in those original Blue Zones areas is that people weren't trying to live longer, healthier lives. It's that they just were because their environment was shaped in such a way that those options and opportunities were just easy to do. And so without a lot of thought, they were getting lots of extra steps. They were eating a healthy diet. They were having good social connections, etc. And so from that, Blue Zones has really worked to shape communities in a way that those healthy choices become the easy choice and optimize those environmental offerings. Next slide, please. So we, in Activate, this is a 3-year initiative. And during this time, we're really working to engage community in a change competency to really get people to understand and have an awareness of what Blue Zones is and how to start shaping their environments that they move throughout their day in to make healthy choices easier. We're also working to change built environment and also improve food systems through Activate. Next slide, please. We chose both of those, built environment and food systems work, because we know that they are foundational to long-lasting change and provide the most impact to a community. So those are the areas where we're really starting to form that foundation. Next slide. We started Activate back in September of 2019, which is amazing that we've been in this work for the last year and plus, I guess, at this point. But right away in September, we formed an Activate governance structure. So we have a steering committee, a built environment committee, and a food systems committee. And you're, I'm sure, familiar with many of the names on the list, but I really worked to form a very broad group that could provide depth and breadth of perspectives across the county. Next slide. We also get the benefit of having national experts to guide us through this work. So in our food systems area, that's Maggie Adamek. She hails from Minneapolis, Minnesota. One of the things that is in her cap is that she developed the Minnesota Food Charter, which was a statewide integrated policy and systems change initiative to really work toward reducing obesity and diet-related disease across the whole state. She is a wealth of information and knowledge, and she provides best research and best practice from communities all across the United States. So we're so lucky to be able to have access to all these various examples from communities that are much like ours to help us as we begin this process. Next slide. So in timeline view, in November, before COVID, Maggie was actually able to come and be with us for a couple of days. We explored all across the county, various areas of food systems, as well as some that were outside of the county, like the food bank in Battle Creek, which services 22 pantries within our county, and Sprout, which is an aggregated regional food distributor. Then they bring food into our county as well. So we did tour a little bit outside of the county, but we had 2 very full days of discovery to really understand the assets and the things that we have in the community currently. Next slide. From that, Maggie produced a discovery report. And from that and data collected, we realized that we have about a 34% adult obesity rate, which is higher than the state average. And that's something to be aware of. And it is the reason that in 2012, we formed the Be Healthy Coalition from that data stemming from the Community Health Needs Assessment. We also recognize that we're the 6th highest county for diabetes. And diabetes, as we know, can be very diet related, especially in type 2 diabetes. We also uncovered that 80% of our county residents eat less than 2 servings of vegetables a day. And we know that the USDA tells us that we need to at least eat 5 servings, but more than 5 would be even better. And so I think those are some really big statistics that look and say, how can we do this? How can we modify and make these lifestyle chronic diseases better for our community? We also know there's work to be done in the hunger relief sector, and have identified that, of course, the county has many rural areas, and so we want to do some investigation there and really understand what needs need to be met. And then we also identified the food insecurity rates. Next slide, please. One of the things that I found in this food environment sort of broad reach, looking at supermarkets, supercenters, farmers markets, convenience stores, what does our landscape look like for food environment? A couple things. One thing I noticed was that there's a lot of need for pedestrian access in our major grocery stores. Thinking about pedestrians or bicyclists that are trying to come to the grocery stores, they often have to go across a large parking lot in order to have access. And so there can be safety concerns there. Another piece that I thought was really interesting is that in our restaurant area, we have 30% fewer restaurants than the national average, but also we know that our community really likes to support our local restaurants and that we really embrace our local assets, our locally grown food. So to me, that says there's some room for growth there, and I was excited about that possibility. Next slide. Then after our discovery report, of course, COVID came around, and that was something none of us could have anticipated. So we decided to do some pre-summit capacity building, and we did a Food Policy Council 101 talking about what are the steps in forming a formalized Food Policy Council. That's a part of our Activate work. And that was co-hosted by Maggie and also one of the leads for the Michigan Food Policy Council Network. And we also had a guest speaker from Ottawa Food Council as well to talk about their process of starting up a council. We also had a hunger relief system download. So of course in COVID, lots of things were changing in the food environment, in access to foods, in utilization numbers. And so that was a time for Maggie just to do a download with the community and hear what was happening. And then our third capacity build webinar was really around supply chain development and ways to support our local farmers and agriculture in institutional ways. So thinking like hospitals and schools and how can they uplift our local agricultural producers. And Garrett Ziegler produced that from MSU Extension. Next slide. Then we had our summits. So we had summits in late August and early September. And I was so pleased that we had really nice attendance, even though we had to be virtual, which was, of course, not our desired way to meet with everybody. But it was really such a nice opportunity for people in different areas of the county who maybe had never crossed paths to be able to speak collaboratively and find others that, shared their inspired thoughts and viewpoints. And so that was really fun to me to watch that happen. And then in our food systems, we also developed the policy portfolio, the things that we wanted to lift up, voted through. So next slide, as important pieces for Berry County. And those were that they felt that there should be a need or an increase, for mobile food delivery options in the rural areas of the county. We identified that the SNAP enrollment could be increased and look for ways to communicate and help to increase those SNAP benefit people having those. And then also talking about food as medicine programs. So through the hospital, thinking of programs that really work with food as the treatment for different chronic diseases that are lifestyle diseases, and possibly getting people off medications by making some dietary changes. And last but not least, they talked about school gardens and really providing some curriculum piece, food skills education in the schools, as well as being able to put those into school meal offerings. Next slide. Following the summit, we had the Marquis Charette for food systems. And this is where we're identifying sort of the bigger picture project that we want to accomplish in the area of food systems. Next slide. And the vision was that we wanted to go down the road of exploring what a food hall hub in downtown Hastings might be like. Could that be something that really could be a place where people could, come together and have access to locally grown products and could enjoy local cider or beer or wine and could allow for year-round market access. And as we started talking, more and more people came to the table talking about what that could look like collaboratively, things like Coalition on Aging takes their prep for Meals on Wheels production outside of the county because there isn't a space in the county that is big enough or large enough to meet their needs. And they would really love to be doing that within the county. MSU Extension, they have Cooking Matters classes. So thinking about space to have teachable space, as well as space, incubator space. So for those that are interested in doing a small startup business in the food arena. And we thought about, how the downtown is shaping up in terms of thinking about apartments coming up and the plaza and the downtown streetscape, and how this could be such a lovely idea to bring not only wealth of opportunity for our community, but also could bring tourism in for that reason. So we're very excited, and there, you could feel the excitement even through Zoom. Next slide. So the next identified step in this would be to conduct a feasibility study and market analysis to think about the components, to understand whether the market could, really, this could be an economic development thing that would be good to undertake, to really understand the partnerships that could be a part of this, and to think about what type of integrated model that may look like and the components. But it was in a landslide voted that this was the popular option at 75% of the participants were really interested in this as the option for our marquee. Next slide. Just so happens that right after we determined this was what we would like to move forward with, I found a grant opportunity through MDARD, that is the 2021 Rural Development Grant. And it is an opportunity to ask for funding for a feasibility study is one of the things that's listed. It's a pretty tight timeline in that the application is due mid-November, but I'm really excited about the opportunity for us to get started on this work. As I think you all are aware, one of the locations that we think could possibly be a prime location for a development like this would be the DPS garage. And so one of the pieces of me coming to council tonight was that I wanted to talk with you about the permission to be able to conduct a feasibility study and think about that as one of the possible locations. I'd like to hand it over to Carla Wilson-Neal to share a little bit from her perspective. She is the chair of our Food Systems Committee, and she's also the champion that is doing this action team work around the Food Hub Hall. Carla?
Yeah. Mayor, are you able to see me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Because I realize it looks a little dark here in the shadows. But the first thing I want to do on a personal note is to thank you as a veteran for approving the ceremony on Veterans Day. So thank you very much for that. But the last time I got to present and be part of something at the council, I was part of Spectrum, which is a healthcare entity. And now I'm retired, and I'm actually excited to be able to present and be involved with what Allison has been talking about, and particularly the big project of a food hall or a food hub. It's a very exciting thing, and been doing a lot of reading about it. And as a person who for many, many years was on the Economic Development Alliance, served on the board for many years, I think this is something that would be absolutely positive for our community. MSU has done a lot of work on this, and they did a study a few years ago on about 400 food hubs across the country. And almost 90% of those impacted their community, specifically on healthy food choices and fresh food, supported their local growers, agricultural people, and also positively impacted the actual healthcare outcomes measured in their community. So I think that's very exciting. I think it brings a lot of foot traffic to our community that probably will benefit the community at large. In particular, having a part of our vision is to have a kitchen such that perhaps instead of the COA Meals on Wheels going out of the community, and my understanding is it's maybe plus 200,000 a year that goes out of the community, that those dollars could come into the community and have those meals prepared right here at a kitchen in our food hall or hub, as a location for community education, perhaps culinary classes, perhaps partnering with a hospital educationally and giving classes on that. Perhaps it is even some of our regional, our area businesses such as Otto's, that it's difficult for people, some people, to drive out and find where Otto's is outside of town. Perhaps there could be some sales of his products here. So I think there's a lot of opportunities, and I think ideally, once we have the results of our feasibility study and the market study, and in particular, perhaps the opportunity to use that city building. It's in such a great location for all the plans that are happening in the community. It's a very exciting thing. And I'm hoping I have Aaron, are you on here as well? Aaron Shaver?
I'm here, yeah.
Oh, great. Well, as some of you may know, Aaron Shaver is a local food entrepreneur, been involved in a lot of things in the community, has volunteered to be involved on our action team. And so I would invite him to make a few comments as well.
Yeah, I think Allison and Carla did a nice job covering some of the socioeconomic impacts with the idea of a food hub. I'm quite interested in, some of the commercial aspects of it and the revitalization of some downtown areas, and what some of those impacts might be to foot traffic and just attraction of new residents or outside participation. As many of you know, we opened Maybell's Bakery back in the spring, and even despite COVID, we're attracting a large population of folks coming from outside Barry County just because of an underserved market. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring foot traffic downtown, depending on what the feasibility study shows. And I've also participated in a lot of initiatives, even in the downtown market in Grand Rapids. I was one of the operating executives of an organization that worked in a large historic building right adjacent to that. And to witness firsthand what bringing the accessibility to food in a downtown area to an underserved population, and what it's done for the distressed buildings, for the walkability, the bikeability, the amount of community events that are handled down there. I've been pretty impressed with that impact, both in Grand Rapids and a variety of rural and metropolitan areas that I've been exposed to throughout my career. So I think that's something that I would love to help bring here to Hastings. And I'm in full support of the work that Carla and Allison are doing.
And I'll just add that our other hope for tonight from the council was that perhaps they will also now be thinking and have questions or input for us that we might incorporate as part of the feasibility study to make sure that we get all of the information and input that answers all of the questions and gives us hopefully a go-ahead for next steps after the feasibility study. Allison, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was great. I think I would just want to open it up for questions at this point, if any of you have questions to ask us.
Anybody?
I
Go
have
ahead.
questions. This is Jim Carey, Allison and Carla.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, can you tell me, do you have something like this that's been done that would be similar to our population, our location, something that we could look at and say, hey, these guys maybe they've got a good idea here. Is there something we could look at that was a up and running system, somebody that had done this somewhere else that we could to see?
Sure, we have several examples. Garrett Ziegler, who is the MSU Extension community educator, had shared with us several feasibility studies that had been done as we were starting to walk down this path. So I would be happy to share those with you. as well as the consultant agencies have also shared some of their work that they've done in other areas. So we'd be happy to produce results.
What an interesting concept you guys have. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other-
Al Jarvis, for some reason, I don't have a picture and I didn't get to see any of the slides.
Oh.
If Alice get a copy of the slides to me, I'd appreciate it.
Happily. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Is you want to use the DPS garage for this?
We would like to have it be one of the feasibility study areas. Yeah, we think that might be a wonderful location. Now, who knows, right? The feasibility study will be the next step to determining. But I think it is positioned in a very nice location. And I think we definitely would want it to be downtown for sure.
Are you looking at purchasing?
I don't think we're there yet. I don't know. I mean, I think we need to get this study done first and determine what they give us.
So it's quite premature on that building then.
I think so, yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? So Allison, so I kind of got the impression from the DDA the other day that, you know, basically what you wanted to do is start this feasibility study. I didn't know, you know, I think, and listen to Al Jarvis, I think I think it'd be a great opportunity for you, and this could be one of your target areas, the DPS garage for your feasibility study. But I think it's going to have to be talked about a lot more on the city level. I think we should, in concept, approve your thought of being in the downtown area. And I don't know if that's what you want tonight, or, you know, I don't see, without every council member here in the meeting tonight, and Al hasn't seen the pictures you're showing, but, you know, what do you want tonight? You want us to say, go ahead with your feasibility study? What do you need?
I think that's what we're asking for, is permission to go ahead and would like the DPS garage to be one of those areas that we would be analyzing.
Okay.
This is Brenda McNabstang. I'd like to ask a follow-up on that. What would be involved in including the DPS in the feasibility study?
I think
You
that's,
got to go in and take measurements. Do you have to? What do you need as far as including it?
that's a good question. We're just getting proposals back and understanding the processes that they would need and advise us to do. So I can answer that question as soon as we're able to look through those proposals. The grant.
My biggest concern on this being the DPS garage being turned into anything else actually is the cost of moving us out, because then we have to find a place. So, you know, and then that's going to be that could end up being a substantial expense to the city when you think about having to have a building of our own, and in order for work to be able to be done on equipment and moving all the heavy equipment out of there, and having a ventilation system that we're just putting in now that's over $100,000 worth. You know, it's you know, that's a substantial expense to the city.
I do think, I mean, part of what we were considering was that, you know, part of that expense would be a part of the grant and capital campaign to figure out where the DPS storage would be located. So
that's good to know. Thank you.
yes.
So basically what you want tonight, though, is you want us to give you permission to use that building as one of your targeted sites for your feasibility study, right?
That's correct.
Okay, do I have any other comments on this? What's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve it under direction of staff in order to coordinate with the DPS building and in order to not disrupt our services. That's my concern with it being in the feasibility study.
Right, right.
This Jim Carrey, I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve using the DPS garage in the feasibility study under direction of staff. That motion was made by Brenda McNabsey, supported by Jim Carrey. Any further comments?
I just have a question. Using the building for, I don't understand what that really is. Take measurements and look at it. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, I think they want to look at the size and the location of the building. And, you know, when they're hearing the vision, they are able to really say, you know, what can fit into this size building and how would you design it? And, you know, would you design it in such a way to highlight retail, or would you design it in such a way, you know, and what are the components that are possible? So I think that's the objective, is to be able to envision and also do some data diving to see, you know, if the market can really can hold something like this. But I do think there's been, you know, countless examples of it really helping in terms of providing healthy options and easy access for communities. So I think it's not anything set in stone at this point. I think it really is just a way to give us more information. And then at that point, we would come back to the council and say, here's what we've come away with from the study, and this is what we propose to go forward.
Okay, Allison, you use the term they. Who is they?
Well, we are collecting proposals from 3 consultant groups. One is the New Venture Advisors out of Chicago. Another is Kitchen Table Consultants, and Market Advisors, who were the Downtown Market folks. So we're collecting those proposals, and we are also then getting input from Maggie and expert who's specifically expert in food hubs on those proposals.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have a couple of questions, David.
Go ahead, Don.
Don Bowers. Do you have any idea of the square footage you're going to need?
I don't, but that's why we have the advisors, right? Because I don't know what the space is or what a space is allocated downtown in various locations. So I think that is what we are wanting to determine.
And I think an assessment of the market is what will drive the recommendations for what might be sustained.
Yeah.
You know,
Carla.
One at a time, please.
Question
Go ahead.
2. The Felposh building down below, isn't that a possibility also? That's a large basement down there. It runs almost a full block length. Well, 3/4.
That this is Carla, and I don't have a lot of detail on that. I know that a fair amount of it right now is being used by the community music school. So not that that's ruled out, but part of that downstairs is already in use. I would say that.
Well, we looked at it for the COA, and it's a huge building downstairs.
Any other comments?
This is for Carla. This is Jim Carrey. Hey, Carla, would you, the city wouldn't incur any cost on going ahead with your survey at all?
No, not at all.
All you just need is something to start to look at, need our permission. So
Yes.
super. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Plus your input and your questions has been very helpful, and we'll make sure that's incorporated as they design the feasibility study.
Yeah, it would be nice too if you could, maybe you could email it out to us, or if there's other places like this that have done this and what the outcome was and what it looks like. If you could, instead of waving our hands around like I do here, if we had something concrete we could see, that would be helpful too. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. And there's food hubs and food halls, a lot of them across the country as well as in Michigan. And the one comment I would make in the readings that I've done, and I'm still new at this myself, and learning every day from Allison and from Blue Zones, but each community is, they design it somewhat uniquely to that market. And I'll give you the best example. Recently, I was in Oregon, and it was a smaller town, and it was on the coast. And they had done a food hall as well. And it incorporated a lot of the fishermen and their products. And then they had a local vineyard that sold wine there. They had their local growers of fresh produce. They had even some coffee bean people, and then they held some community education pieces there. So I think the market study for our feasibility study will be very helpful, but we can definitely show you lots of different examples of food halls and food hubs.
This is Brenda McNabb saying again, just for everybody on the call, I guess. I think you might look at, granted, Grand Rapids is huge compared to us, but at least an example that you can look at is their downtown market. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
Where you can have stores,
That's
you can have restaurants, you can have, I don't know, you can have your canning or your cooking education area. All sorts of things like that.
Are you talking about an everyday thing or a once a week thing or what?
Well, that would depend, and I'll let Allison answer after me, but the ones that I have personally seen, some places in a large metropolitan area, it's every day. Then some areas, I've seen it where they do certain things on certain days. So maybe 2 days you have fresh farm market, another day you have a culinary school or classes. I think it depends, again, on what the desire is.
My thought is if you want to use the DPS building, I don't think that's appropriate because first of all, the back end is probably the best area for it, but it's not a place for food, I don't think.
Al Jarvis, I got another question.
Go ahead.
And Jim brought it up. He said city money involved. Did the DDA just give $5,000 for this study?
Yes, they did.
They
Well, that's city money.
provided some matching funds.
Money being used. I just want to point that out.
Any other questions? We have a motion and support. Roll call.
Bowers,
No,
Carrie,
not in that building.
Yes.
Jarvis,
Oh, no.
Muffin-Moore,
No.
McNabb Sting,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Sorry, yes.
Tassava,
Yes.
motion carried.
Close.
Okay, I don't want to burst your bubble, Carla, but I appreciate you thanking me for having the board approve the Veterans Day. I wasn't a veteran, my brother was, but I sure appreciate it. And I do give them 200% of my support or more. But I want to thank both you ladies for coming tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
Mayor, could I make one quick comment?
Sure.
And I did have a definite sense that there was a fair amount of concern about the selection of the building. I would just remind everybody that that's not the only option. There are other options out in the community here downtown. And so just be open-minded on that.
Have you looked at options and what are they?
We're all done with this. We're moving on.
Sorry, thank you.
We have two ordinances tonight. First off, recommendation from other boards, we have none. We have the first reading of an ordinance number 592 to allow commercial kennels. Do you want to explain that one, Jerry?
I think I tried to explain it in my memo, that this is an option to add the commercial kennels to the industrial zoned areas. As I mentioned, we've already have a definition for a commercial kennel, and we have some requirements already in our ordinance for what that can be, because they are currently allowed in the rural residential areas. The upside of this being allowed in an industrial district is that it eliminates or makes it less of a concern for the noise that could happen throughout different hours of the day. And in discussion with our planning consultant, there are many communities that also have commercial kennels in industrial areas. So again, this is just a first reading. This was recommended by the Planning Commission last Monday.
I suggest anybody that has any questions, read over this ordinance, but if you have any questions, either get a hold of Jerry or Dave on the Planning Commission, not Dave Toss, but Dave, geez, forgot his name for a second there.
Hatfield.
Hatfield, excuse me. How can you forget Dave Hatfield? But if you have any questions, get a hold of Dave Hatfield. We put a lot of discussion into this, but again, this is the first reading of this ordinance number 592. And it'll be brought back up in 2 weeks. Our second first reading is ordinance number 593, and this has to do with accessory buildings. And I don't know if everybody got a chance to read Jerry's memo in that. And this is the first reading of 593. And again, if you have any questions, get a hold of Jerry or Dave Hatfield. But this will be brought back up in 2 weeks. So moving on. Resolutions, we have none. Appointments, consider Mayor Tossova's appointment of Tom Wiswell to the DDA for a partial term expiring December 31st, 2022. This partial term, Tom will take the place of Don Tubbs, who resigned earlier this year. He will finish out this year and till December 2022. So what's your pleasure?
Al Jarvis, I make a motion that we have Tom fill that position. It's good to have somebody on the side of the State Street.
Rezegi, support.
Motion by Jarvis, supported by Rezegi to approve the appointment of Tom Wiswell to the DDA. Any further comments? Roll call.
Mopin Moore,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yep.
Carey,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Item B, consider Mayor Tossova's appointment of Dave Hatfield to the Board of Review for a partial term expiring December 31st, 2022. And this is another post that Don Tubbs was on, and Dave Hatfield's going to finish out his term, then decide if you want to run for election for that post. But he's my recommendation. So what's your pleasure?
Rezegi, I'll make that motion.
Support Jarvis.
Motion by Rezegi, supported by Jarvis to appoint Dave Hatfield to the Board of Review for a partial term expiring December 31st, 2022. Any questions or comments?
This is McNabb Stang, and I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
One is more just to state my understanding that the Board of Review now they review tax issues, the property tax.
issues. Right.
Okay. And that's fine. And then the other thing is, this is over 2 years. Aren't we supposed to have a special election if it's over 2 years?
The city charter says that we can appoint somebody if they don't have a chance to run for that open seat at election time by getting a petition out. So we are, I checked
Okay.
with, so this is legal doing this, so.
Okay, no, well, I figured you would make it legal. I was just asking it for my own edification.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, that explains it, the fact that there wasn't time to get them really on a ballot for this election
Right.
time. Great, super, thanks.
Any other questions? Roll call.
McNabb Stang,
Yes,
Rezegi,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes,
Carrie,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Maupin Moore,
Yes.
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 14, bids, contracts, agreements, and sales. Lost my train of thought here for a second. Authorize mayor and city clerk to sign contract with MDOT for the resurfacing project on Woodland Avenue from Michigan Avenue east to the city limits as recommended by city manager Jerry Zarnicki. This is something we've been talking about for the last couple of years, and we did budget our portion for this project for this year. Anybody have any questions of Jerry on this?
Al Jarvis, this is for the spring now?
Yes, the state will accept bids over the winter for spring construction.
Okay, because I know the asphalt plants close on Sundays, usually
Yeah.
the 5th. Okay.
Any other questions?
You need a motion to this effect?
Yes, we do.
I'll make that motion.
this is
Rezegi,
McNabb
I'll
Stang, I
support.
support it.
Motion by Jarvis, support by McNabb Stain to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign contract with MDOT for resurfacing project of Woodland Avenue from Michigan Avenue east to the city limits as recommended by Jerry Zarnicki. Any further comments or questions? Roll call.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Bowers,
yes,
Carrie,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Maupin Moore,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes,
and Tassava.
Yes.
Motion carried.
City managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Included in your packet is the report from Travis Tate, the Director of Public Service. Travis is on the call, so if you have any questions from his report, he can answer any of those.
This is Travis Tate. Is there any questions to report? You guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can, Travis. Okay, so if there's no questions, if you have any later, you can reach out to me or Travis. Also in your packet, thanks Travis for the report, is the report from Chief Karras, his monthly report. I do not believe that Chief Karras is on this call, but if you have any questions, we can get them answered for you. We also have a report from Peggy Hemmerling, Library Director, the monthly report for the library. And I know Peggy's on the line, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask her. Thank you, Peggy, for your report. And finally, last but not least, something new that we are going to start seeing is monthly our assessors are going to be providing a report of what is coming out of their department. So included in your packet is their first monthly report. And I do believe for sure Debbie is on the line or on the meeting. I don't know if Lisa is also. So if you have any questions regarding their report, Debbie can answer those.
Al Jarvis, I do have a question. I noticed you're looking for a part-time person to work. Did we lose somebody?
Yes, we lost Krista.
Okay.
we used to have one and now we want 2.5.
Nope. We're replacing the assessor assistant position. So this is not a new position. Thanks, Debbie and Lisa, for your report, and you'll see their report. They'll be the first meeting of every month moving forward as part of this group of department heads. So, Mr. Mayor, that ends my report for tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay. Item 16, consent items without individual discussion. As always, if you see something that tickles your fancy after I go through all these, and I'll come back to it. First item, invoices, we have none. Item B, draft workshop minutes of the October 29th, 2020 DDA meeting. Item C, draft minutes of the October 28th, 2020 Hastings City, Berry County Airport Commission meeting. Item D, draft minutes of the November 2nd, 2020 regular meeting of the Planning Commission. Item E, draft minutes of the November 2nd, 2020 Hastings Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. Item F, general election results from November 3rd, 2020. Anybody want to pull any of those items and talk about them? If not, I entertain a motion to accept and place on file.
Bowers, so moved.
McNabb saying support.
Motion by Bauer, supported by McNabb to receive and place on file the consent items. Roll call.
Through me. Carrie,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Moppenmore,
Yes.
McNabb Stang,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Tassava,
Yes.
motion carried.
City Attorney's report.
I have nothing for council this evening.
Thanks, Stephanie. Legislative Director's report.
The Grand Valley Metro Council did not meet this month like I expected them to. They pushed that off until December. So I will be reporting in December on the last meeting of the year. Another thing I just want to bring everybody's attention to is the MML has a Monday, I guess, report out or discussion every Monday normally, except the next 2 Mondays, they will not be having it because the legislature is not in session. So they will be starting up again, I think, November 30th. And basically, you get a lot of good information on what's pending out there. They're also going to be having a new call out to elected officials to see if they can get them to participate in their different committees. So that's going to be coming out for you to volunteer and start in January, meeting with them on the different subjects. That's all I have.
Oh, is that the information they gave today at that meeting, Brenda?
Yeah, they gave quite a bit of information. They talked a lot about COVID. They talked about
This is the first meeting I've missed on Mondays. Normally they're like noon, and all you gotta do is sign up, and they send you an email every time they have them, so they kind of remind you. But I think it's great they're doing that now.
Yeah, because the one thing they talked about is the need, what they feel is the need to extend the rules that we're operating under now for virtual meetings into next year. Right. We have obviously the vaccine coming hopefully real soon, but by the time it gets out to people, it's still going to be well into next year to get out on a broad basis. But they're looking at extending because of the issues of just I had asked a question, just the fact that the state health department has all the rules in place for social distancing and other requirements. That is not enough to allow us to continue virtual meetings into next year. That's not a declaration of an emergency. Only the governor and locals can declare that. So there's a lot of issues related to that are not clear. So they want to get that cleared up and maybe extend it like through March or so of next year. And then they talked about property taxes and the property and financing for the cities and getting it off of just being allowed to collect property taxes to fund us. So they're working quite a few issues.
Good. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thanks. Open public discussion from the floor. Anybody out there would like to address the council? If so, give us your name and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to address the council. Hi, I'm Jackie McLean, 525 West Madison Street, Hastings, Michigan. I just wanted to introduce myself and say that I'm super excited to serve with you all on the council come 2021.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. If I can make a comment to Jackie, I know she's very interested in education. The MML has incredible amount of educational opportunities, and we should be able to get you in to basically the basics, the groundwork. Newly elected officials, they probably have webinars. I think they probably have webinars on it, hopefully, that you can take from home.
I'm already signed up.
Wonderful.
Got her all
I'm
signed up
excited.
today.
I'm going to hit the ground running.
Okay.
Great.
Anybody else want to address the council? Mayor and council comment. This was a sad weekend for the city of Hastings family. We lost 2 great women this weekend. Former Mayor Frank Campbell's wife Linda passed away Friday night, and Roger Karras' wife Barb passed away over the weekend also. And I would like to send them all our condolences and pray for their well-being.
Most definitely.
John Reziger, any comment tonight?
Other than I'd like to second just everything you just said, Dave.
Al Jarvis, any comment?
In Berry County, and we have an uptick, and looks like a pretty serious uptick in the virus, and so it's kind of a scary situation. Everybody be safe.
Okay. Jim Carey, any comment tonight?
No comment, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Jim. Take care. Don Bowers, any comment tonight?
Yes, I want to thank the voters in the 3rd district for retaining me. And I want to know, where is John Reziger at? Well, it looks like it's still daylight.
It is. It's beautiful out here in town.
Where you
I'm
at?
at home, Don. I'm at home.
It's an app he uses.
Fixed to the computer.
It's a picture that's behind me.
Any other comments, Don?
No.
Brenda, anything additional?
No, I'd like to second your comments and Al's comments as well.
Okay, Trace, any comment tonight?
Nope, no comment.
Okay. Anything else to come for council? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Bowers.
Motion by Bowers,
Sport, Reziger.
supported by Reziger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Stay safe.